Hello there folks, my name is Spooks and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where I break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed and see how well each movie did, so let's get started. Number 5 was Violent Night, making $3.5 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $43 million and a worldwide total of $64 million. So it was a pretty good weekend for Violent Night, as many of you can see, as it was able to overtake Black Panther: Wakanda Forever for the first time in its entire theatrical run, which is definitely an accomplishment I'm sure they're very proud of having. But also, this weekend is special not because only they were able to double its budget domestically, but also triple it worldwide. This movie has just done so well throughout the rest of its theatrical run, and I definitely thought this weekend would be a very significant weekend for it, given that it was the weekend of Christmas, and hey, this is a pretty interesting Christmas movie to say the least, so I definitely thought that it would get a boost from that, and it certainly did. And given where it's at, I wouldn't be surprised to see this movie surpass 50 million domestically, seeing how it's still pulling in some very strong numbers. Audiences are still going to see it, and word of mouth is still very strong with it. However, while I do think it may be able to surpass that milestone, I think that'll probably be the last milestone it surpasses as well, folks, given that this is a Christmas movie, and Christmas is over by the time this video comes out. I don't see this movie having the strongest legs after that, as the Christmas spirit will surely be long and gone very soon. Maybe after this weekend, the film will start to taking big hits that many people were probably expecting it to take earlier. But even still, that shouldn't disparage how successful this movie is. The fact that this movie was able to double its budget domestically, let alone triple it worldwide, just goes to show you how strong of a sleeper hit this was, how solid counter programming it was, and how even in a pretty disappointing stage in the box office right now, we can still get some really decent sleeper hits every now and then, and this is certainly one of them. So good job, Violent Night. While this may be the last time or one of the last times you're in the top 5, at least you got to surpass a couple milestones and had a holly jolly Christmas for yourself. Number 4 was Babylon, opening with $3.6 million this weekend, and that adds to a domestic total of $4.8 million, and that total stays the same worldwide, as it has not been released anywhere internationally at the time of this recording. Now, last weekend, when discussing my expectations for this movie, I didn't have the biggest hopes for this film, but even I was really shocked at how poorly this movie did over the weekend. And while you could argue that the storm was probably a big factor, and we'll discuss the storm much more in this video, don't worry, even when you consider that, I still feel like this is definitely the worst possible thing that could have happened to this movie, sadly. It's just that while the marketing was kind of there, I definitely saw a promotion for it. The buzz was not. I didn't hear too much people talking about this, getting excited about it, and thanks to its ridiculously high budget that is said to be anywhere from $70 to $110 million, this is definitely a really big bomb, and I'm not so sure if this movie is going to get the boost, because again, there was a storm and that probably affected the box office too, and I'm sure many people are saying like, oh well, once the storm passes, hopefully by the end of this weekend, then box office for this movie will recover. But I have my doubts about that, because while reviews are mixed, so are the audience reactions. It got a C+ on CinemaScore, which is not good, not what you want to see or hear from your audience after they have seen the movie, unfortunately. So yeah, it looks like a pretty rough start for Babylon. Again, hopefully it starts to pick up. Maybe word of mouth or something helps this movie to get where it needs to get to, but it's going to need a lot, and I mean a lot, to get where it needs to get there. Number 3 was I Wanna Dance with Somebody, opening with 4.7 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of 6 million and a worldwide total of $9 million. So this was a movie I had reasonable expectations for, not high, but I had much bigger expectations than a lot of other people. I saw many positives that would have benefited this movie and helped it out a bit more, but unfortunately, this movie did not really bring it this weekend. I thought there would be more interest in this, from general audiences, given that it's about the life of one of the greatest singers of all time, Whitney Houston, and that maybe might have piqued interest, but clearly not, unfortunately. And as well as there was a gigantic storm that affected a lot of the movies out this weekend, and this was surely one of them. However, I am still going to be a little optimistic about this movie. I know that's probably really stupid of me to say, but hear me out. Obviously, this does not cost anywhere near the level of Babylon. This is a movie with a budget of $45 million, so we'll see if it can muster that up. And I do believe that word of mouth might help this movie out, as unlike Babylon, audiences generally really liked this movie. It got an A on CinemaScore, which is very good and very promising, and seeing as how it could still very well be very solid counter programming and play itself very well against all the other big blockbusters, there could still be a chance for this movie to benefit. This is definitely something to keep your eyes out on to see if it was the storm that really affected it, and if word of mouth really helps it out in the coming weeks. But once again, it's still going to need a lot of help to get to that $45 million budget, as its opening really did not help. It barely made 10 million worldwide, which is unfortunate. So again, this is a pretty lackluster opening, but I will have high, well, maybe not high, but much more positive expectations going towards its legs. There still could be a chance for it to benefit and boost up from the strong word of mouth it's having right now, so who knows. But yeah, pretty overall lackluster opening. Number 2 was Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, opening with 12 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of 26 million and a worldwide total of $58 million. Now, if any movie was affected by that storm, it was certainly this, as this movie was opening on Wednesday. The storm was starting to brew into effect, and it only got worse throughout the weekend, which may have caused the film to have an overall lackluster opening, unfortunately, and many people are already calling this a pretty disappointing opening, which in hindsight, I do feel like that's a bit of an over-exaggeration. I mean, yeah, it disappointed. It didn't meet expectations, but again, there was a huge storm, and the fact that it was the holidays, not too many families were going to the movies, especially on Christmas Eve, falling on Saturday. However, there was a bright side to this movie, and that's the fact that once the storm was calming down and we got closer to Christmas Day, it seemed to do a bit better. Its numbers starting to improve, and it's definitely in a better place now than it was a couple days ago. So there is still hope for this movie. I don't want to call this like another Strange World, because it has a lot more benefits and positive factors to it than that movie. First off, it is significantly cheaper than Strange World, as this movie costs only around $80 to $90 million, and thanks to the worldwide totals, it's already made half of that, so good job there, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it surpass its initial budget very soon, at the very least worldwide. It's also like I Want to Dance with Somebody, from those who have seen it, getting really solid reception from audiences. It got an A on Cinema Score, which is actually better than the first Puss in Boots' A- Cinema Score way back when in 2011. So that can only mean good things right there, as well as the fact that this is going to be the only family animated film playing in movie theaters, as far as I know currently. I mean, you never know, something could pop up, but anyways, only one playing in theaters until the Super Mario Brothers movie hits theaters on April 7th. So this movie has plenty of time to grow and for its legs to be very strong and play out throughout those months. And I do see that happening given how strong word of mouth is currently for the film. I've been hearing nothing but positive things from people who have recently seen it. Some people have even claimed it to be the best movie of the year, which is really outstanding and goes to show you how good this movie is resonating with people. And hopefully it will be able to beat all of these low expectations it currently has right now, because yeah, these numbers admittedly at first glance are disappointing, but when you factor in all these other things, it could have been worse. I mean, again, there was a huge storm and the holidays, and I'm just glad that the numbers so far right now are starting to improve on this movie. So yeah, much like I Want to Dance with Somebody, definitely something we're gonna have to wait and see if it really was the storm or if audiences were uninterested, but I highly doubt that. I think this movie is probably going to exceed certain expectations it has right now and do better than what most people think. But yeah, as far as its opening, bit of a rocky start, but it has a lot more room to improve. So we'll just have to wait and see where Puss in Boots 2 lies on that box office factor. And finally, let's end the video off with the number one movie of the weekend, which was once again Avatar: The Way of Water, making $64 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $293 million and a worldwide total of $955 million. So let's break this down. On the domestic side, it is the 8th highest grossing film of the year already. It has knocked down Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Black Adam, and Elvis, and is sitting behind Thor: Love and Thunder, which, given where it's at, I'm certain it will be able to surpass very, very soon. And worldwide, last weekend, it was like, what, the 10th highest grossing film of the year? Now it's number 3. Yes, folks, Avatar: The Way of Water in just 2 weeks was able to surpass Moon Man, The Battle at Lake Changjin, Thor: Love and Thunder, The Batman, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, Minions: The Rise of Gru, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and is now just sitting behind Jurassic World Dominion and Top Gun Maverick. Holy cow, folks. Clearly, internationally, it had a much better weekend. International audiences are eating this thing up and chewing on it so much, loving this movie to pieces. Domestically, obviously the storm had, and as well as the holidays, had a big effect on this film, especially on Friday. It took quite the hit on Friday, but still, $64 million during the holiday weekend. That's not too shabby, and the fact that it's already just like $7 million away from surpassing $300 million domestically is still absolutely fantastic. It also is having the benefit of what Puss in Boots had, where it's, as it seems like right now, the storm is starting to calm down and hopefully it'll be out of harm's way very soon, and it is just improving and improving within the days. More and more people are starting to see this, and even I even started to hear and read a couple stories that's in places where the weather was crappy and the weather wasn't the best, and yet people were still rushing to see this in theaters that were open and that were allowed to be open, and so much so that certain theaters where the weather was crappy still had sold out showings and screenings. That is insane. Just to see the word of mouth and the acclaim this movie has gotten domestically, and audiences are still rushing to see this movie. It is absolutely insane. And I'm certain this is only going to improve and improve for the coming weeks. Once again, very little competition. Even Puss in Boots, which I said could improve upon in the coming weeks, it doesn't seem like it's going to affect this movie. Which it wasn't really expected to. But yeah, Avatar still dominating, still doing very well despite a few bumps in the road this weekend. It's looking like it's going to be a very big hit. The big question is if it's going to surpass Top Gun Maverick, which worldwide it seems very, very likely that that's something to keep your eyes out on. But even domestically, yes, Top Gun had the advantage of opening in the summer and had a very impressive second weekend, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Avatar get very, 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 very close, seeing as how strong word of mouth is and how no other movie that was playing right now is resonating with audiences quite like this. The fact that so many people are rushing out to see it, even in the crappiest of weather, is insane. So definitely something to keep everyone's eyes out on for sure. We'll see if it can manage to do that. But yeah, overall, Avatar, The Way of Water, still dominating. Hell, given the time this video drops, it may very well just surpass $1 billion worldwide. It's close, definitely very close, and it wouldn't surprise anybody, but we'll see where it lands in the coming weeks. But it's looking like it's in the best shape and is doing the best out of everything right now. So yeah, good job, Avatar. And those were the top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend. And normally this would be the part of the video where I discuss the upcoming new releases hitting theaters and seeing where they would land in the top 5. But as is what's common with every year at this time, there is nothing coming out. It's the very last weekend of the year. Nothing new of merit is hitting theaters in terms of wide releases. So the top 5 very may well be the same. So don't be surprised if you don't see a box office chat next weekend. However, there is something interesting about this, and it's once again revolving around the storm. Hopefully things clear up, hopefully things get better in regards to the weather, and that may spark an increase with a lot of the movies hitting theaters right now, pretty much similar to what happened with the National Cinema Day, where a lot of movies that were playing got major boosts because of that. And I'm wondering if something similar might occur with the new releases and the holdovers this weekend, where they get major boosts for the weather being a lot better and more word of mouth spreading for how good these movies are and more people seeing them. So yeah, if anything big or major happens to shake up the top 5, or some new wide release does happen to appear in the top 5, I'll be just sure to discuss how well those movies do and where they land in the top 5 on the next Box Office Chat. And that's gonna do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you all think of the results? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all the social media links right there. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.